Welcome in, class. Welcome in. Welcome back to another session at the Umbrella Academy. I'm your teacher, Alex.
And I'm the kid at the back of the class who doesn't give a shit about anything. I'll tell you what, it's just sushi and death back here, which are two of my least favorite things. I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are going to be talking about Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 7, Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen! Auf Wiedersehen!
Auf Wiedersehen. Before we even get into it, Pete, you already have a question? What's going on?
That's not how that's spelled, is it really? It's with a W and you say with an F?
Yeah, man. You got to go to Germany. You got to check it out. Cool place.
Yeah, dude. You got to go to Germany in 1989. What a party.
I did go to Berlin for the Berlin Film Festival once, had a lovely time for the first day. And then after a movie premiere, which was very exciting, I had a snack
Look at this
of
flex. Look at this cool guy.
mac and cheese with schnitzel on it from a cart, which was very good. And then
they call that the American, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And then I was deathly ill for the next 2 days and couldn't leave my hotel room. So good times.
They also call that the American.
Yeah.
But there you go. We are going to be talking about this episode. So if you haven't seen it on Netflix, do check it out because we're going to spoil it. But everybody is dealing with the death of Harlan confirmed in this episode. Allison straight up killed him, and everybody's frustrated about that. But finally, the two families are coming together to work on this whole Kugelblitz problem for the first time. Very briefly, they solve it, and then they wreck it again. Oopsie daisy.
You got to be careful who you're cheersing. You can't just go around cheersing anybody, especially someone who's holding in a Kugelblitz.
When you have a full bottle champagne celebration in the middle of an episode of television, you're fucked. Let's just be straight up there. And also, I haven't been to a ton of parties where everyone gets a full bottle of champagne, but those are fun parties every time.
I'll tell you, after that movie premiere that I was referencing, somebody cheers me. I was trying to hold in a Kugelblitz, and it all went wrong from there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know exactly what you mean by Kugelblitz.
Mm-hmm. I also know what it means to be somewhere and have a film premiering and feel special.
It wasn't my film. It was Wes Anderson.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
They call his nickname for you is Diarrhea Blitz, right?
They call you D-boy?
Why don't we get into the episode? I just wanted to call out here based on everything that we've been talking about for the past couple of episodes, what a relief it was to see everybody actually taking steps forward. And Luther and Sloan being like, enough already. Everybody get together.
I don't know if Allison took any
steps
steps forward, guy.
Sure, but enough
Take
people
it easy
did.
with that there.
Even if they, in classic Umbrella Sparrow fashion, messed it up at the end, the fact that they were doing something was just, I breathed a sigh of relief watching the episode.
I breathed a sigh of relief at the piece of shit father finally not being a piece of shit. This other version of him and Klaus together, it's magical, and it is. It's nice to see. It feels good.
Don't be fooled by the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. I think Hargreaves has another turn to turn, and I don't know if he's. Too nice, too much. I mean, maybe you're right. And he is definitely a different Hargreaves and a much more capable, like his speech where he was saying that I made you feel small so I could control you. It was that felt very true and a refreshing bit of honesty there.
I mean, he's saying it must be the money. How bad could he be?
Well, I mean, that was fun. He does seem a little, but I think he was excited because he gets to run an experiment on one of the more interesting power sets in his children. I
will say, to this point, there's a moment, I think, at the graveyard late on in that storyline. And just
oh my God,
reminder,
that speech was.
Hold on. You were jumping all over the place as usual.
Yeah.
For anybody who hasn't checked it out, so Klaus was killed last episode by Hargreaves. Turns out he's just training him to come back from death. By the end of the episode, he trains him how to banish ghosts. So that's the overall arch of the storyline. There is a moment, per what Justin is saying, towards the end, and I think it's in the graveyard scene, when Klaus asks him some question in the middle of all this, and he's like, hey, what about that? And Reginald's like, don't worry about that right now. Let's focus on this other thing instead, where I was like, all right, buddy, you got something else going on here. But just in terms of the span of the episode, like Pete is saying, it's great. It's a different Klaus. Klaus
has wanted this his whole life, just to know why his father did these things, to not have his father be a dick to him, and he finally gets it. And after all this time, I'm enjoying it with him. It is so nice to Klaus finally get a W here and grow, or at least learn about his powers and become better at it. I mean, that like ghost move at the end was bananas, but this at least there's a nice little Klaus bubble where it's not raining. You know what I mean? He's under the umbrella.
He's under the umbrella with his banana ghost move. I'm sorry, I'm talking nonsense. But what I was going to say is, I do. And by the way, just to frame it up,
this is us talking about the Luther, Sloan, everybody saving each other storyline. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, that's what you were. You set up, and we naturally followed through.
Yes, thanks, Pete.
I followed directions well.
But while we're talking about it, I was going to say it is great for Klaus to have control of his powers and really understand himself. Like, he really was just like hanging out with Ben was his powers for a long time, the ghost of Ben. And now he realizes that he can resurrect himself and also banish ghosts. But I think Hargreaves was specifically highlighting these skills because he is going to use him for something. And I would argue it involves going into the Hotel Oblivion, a side plot that feels very important, even though we haven't touched on it yet.
Well, I would just like to say, you're saying banishes the ghost, but you don't know. It seemed like he sucked them into him and started glowing afterwards. So I don't know.
Ghost sucker?
Yeah,
he's a chupacabra.
He's a ghost
chupacabra for ghosts.
I just think that you're quick to label this. We don't know what the heck's going on. Like, there were ghosts 1 minute, now they're not.
Just
He's
take a
glowing.
wild stab here and say Pete thinks this is some sort of Ghostbusters situation where Klaus is a living ghost container, right?
That's right.
But to bring the two threads we're talking about together, maybe he has to contain the ghost because Bustin makes him feel good, and then he's going to take them and shove them into whatever the machine is that they put all the ghosts in the first Ghostbusters that the EPA guy destroys.
Yeah, the containment unit.
Containment
unit. There you go. So maybe he's going to take those ghosts and he's going to barf them through the door in the Buffalo Room, and that's where they're going to go. And then the EPA guy is going to be, I don't know, the bellhop at the hotel or something like that.
He's going to be talking about Twinkies, probably.
In here. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Ghost barfers.
Is there, I mean, just to sort of keep gaming them out, is there any man on this show currently who has no dick? Pete?
That's a great on this podcast.
Diego lost a couple of fingers, but not the same thing.
Fingers and let me just say,
that's true. I read your senior thesis.
Sorry,
from
was
Cornell.
that what you were going to say, Justin? Did I
you really took my my line.
Took the dicks out of your mouth.
What I was going to say really is that's a quote from Ghostbusters, not a weird thing that Alex randomly said. Not just absolute nonsense on top of some sort of nonsense Kugelblitz that is happening clearly in a Pete and Alex.
Right. Thank you for clarifying.
Timeline.
So far, this podcast has been very coherent over the first 8 minutes, and I really threw us for a loop.
I think we've covered things pretty well from the Klaus thing, and let's just say, signing off from the Podcademy. No, how about we do this? We covered Klaus, but let's jump back to the beginning because we get this sort of cold open scene. Two of them, really. Focus on Lila, a character who I've been pleasantly surprised is a main part of the Umbrella Academy.
That is an interesting plot line because what's happening with Faye is really fascinating as well.
No.
I can't do it as well as Pete.
Because you're not shouting as much, and I also know that you don't mean it. And you like to talk about stuff in order.
I know, it makes me physically uncomfortable to do that. I felt terrible just now. The storyline is really interesting. I love digging into her character here. I love the revelations that we're getting about Stan, and the surprising revelation at the end of the episode that not only is she pregnant, but she wants to have a family with Diego. I don't know if it 100% explains all of her moves with Stan, but it certainly emotionally puts a thread out there in a very Umbrella Academy way, which these are people that are thrashing wildly with their emotions, their plot lines, and everything that they're doing all the time. So it does bring it together very nicely.
I mean, it was nice to see Herblet at the beginning there. I mean, it was an interesting and cool way to start. The show is so creative. You really don't know what's happening. It's really impressive.
Well, yeah, and they have the whole palette of the time stream to jump through. We start in 1953, go to 1989.
As you would.
As you would. And I think it is a good way, sort of in a fucked up way, to audition the idea that you're going to have a kid with someone by sort of stealing a kid. And just
that's kind of hilarious that Lila move, you know. And also, like, Lila has a sick drum solo in this episode. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. What I was going to say, though, is like, sure, I have 2 children, and we auditioned having kids by just having a 10-year-old live at our house for a while.
Until he blew up?
Yeah, but then he blew up. He just sort of vanished, leaving a Slurpee, which we still have on our mantle to this day. I also, like, on the drum solo, like, that was awesome. And the fact that this show can take the time to have these cool little, probably unnecessary moments just to show that she's punk as fuck, I guess, is what we're doing here.
Well, it's nice that she took some time to live. Like, she's jumping through all these timelines, but she kind of... You know, it's like, you know what? I am going to, after I get this briefcase, which was a smart move, I'm going to, just join this band real quick and punk out for a little while. You know what I mean?
I thought, I know you guys are being a little glib, but I thought that was one of the most emotional moments in the episode, just how they slowed that down, changed the music. That's clearly her working out all this pent-up rage that she has towards her mom, the feelings that she doesn't have resolved with Diego, with her life, with how it's God, with everything. And ultimately, I think that moment is the one where she really focuses up and realizes what I want back is Diego. I want Diego. I don't know how to say that out loud. She obviously, in the first 6 episodes, goes about it entirely in the incorrect way. But to me, that's where she makes that decision, or doesn't realize it, you know, but has made that decision mentally,
right,
and then follows through on it physically.
And it was great. It was nice sort of emotional parentheses for her character at the beginning of this episode and at the end when she's talking to Diego and sort of comes clean. The only thing, though, about all this is this show's theme for all 3 seasons is people don't change for the better very well. They change for the worse. And if they are going to change for the better, it's because they are working together in some sort of family unit to make each other better. And I think we see that play out in this episode specifically in a bunch of different ways. But it does make me a little bit worried if Lila truly has changed. I feel like this episode tells us that. But this episode also tries to tell us that Hargreaves has changed, when I don't think he has changed for the better. He's an alien who doesn't care and is running experiments on human children on Earth, I think, or that's what we are maybe led to believe. Well, so I'm curious how it's going to play out.
Can I ask a question just sort of off of this in terms of the idea of people changing and whether they can change? We've been talking a lot about Allison, particularly since episode 5, when she crossed the line with Luther. We do get a touch on that a little bit in the episode, but I do think the big question here, as Lila's storyline ties into Allison's storyline, they have a conversation at the bar together. Lila very specifically tells her, hey, you had this hook. You had this thing that you could hook into emotionally. You don't have that anymore. You have to find a new thing or you're going to wildly go out of control. I think it's arguable. Yeah, I think it's arguable that she's already gone wildly out of control and is off the rails here. But do you think, throwing it out to both of you, do you think that Allison does have the capacity to change? Has she gone too far? Has she, like 5 calls out to Viktor later in the episode, gone off on her own and instead of being a superhero, become a supervillain?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you know, Viktor smartly is just like, hey, listen, you know, I'm here for you. We can talk or whatever, but also you step out of line and I got my eye on you. I'm going to murder you myself. I mean, I took out a whole boardroom of people. I mean, his whole ant speech was bananas. But I want to get back to your point. Like,
you mean 5, not Viktor.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Lila doing a lot in this episode was great, like checking in with Allison and like that whole talk was really nice. I think it's interesting to, you know, you talk about somebody making a decision and growing, Lila kind of having that thing of like, you know, I'm going to try this. I'm exploring this idea of family, talking to people, doing these things. So I was really kind of, you know, to get back to it originally, you know, can Allison change? We're watching Lila change, you know what I mean? So, like, why couldn't this happen? I don't know if it's ready yet because she seems like she's still drinking and not really making smart decisions. But, you'd like to hope somebody can improve their life. But man, it was still, when she started talking, to Viktor, I was like, you should shut the fuck up right now after what you did. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really, you got no feet to stand on to fucking come at Viktor like that.
Well, but I think Allison knows what she's done wrong, and she is, she's untethered. It's what the speech with the conversation with Lila is all about. Like, she has the spin. She has no understanding where the ground is. I thought it was funny. I wonder if this was a response to Simone Biles talking about this thing. I feel like it was the first time I'd ever heard about this for gymnasts and figure skaters, where when you're in the middle of a move, like a triple Lutz or something, or on the uneven bars, yeah, and you lose touch with where you're spinning so fast, you lose touch with where the ground is. I love that metaphor. It's a terrifying thing that it's real for people who are doing these jobs. And I think it is where Allison is. So I do think she is capable of finding the ground again.
She was so excited to be like, oh, someone brought up Harlan? I killed him, by the way, in case you're wondering about the person just drinking in the corner over here. Like that, there's a lot going on there that, Lila's right. She's got to start dealing with her because she is spinning, and it's not good.
Well, she needs her drums moment, right? Like, she needs some way to get her rage out in the right way, because now she's getting it out by killing Harlan, by taking it out on Viktor, taking it out on everybody around her. And she doesn't have that thing, like we were talking about in the first scene, where it really seems like Lila realizes, oh, Diego, that's my thing that stops me from spinning. And just to drive into it a little further, the camera literally spins around Lila when she's doing that drums thing. So thematically, I think they did a really good job with all of that there. Again, I don't know, just for me as a character, I think Emmy raver-lampman is doing a phenomenal job here of getting the seething rage out through the character, but the stuff Allison has done is so unforgivable in my mind. Killing Harlan, whatever anybody in the show says, is crossing a line. He did not deserve that at all. And a lot of the other things she's done, and the way that particularly the Luther thing, I worry that they have broken this character in a way that, as a viewer, cannot be repaired to me. But it does seem like, plot-wise, they're trying to make steps there to repair her anyway.
And it's interesting, like, at the end of this season, like, there's going to be more of this show, I would think. So I don't think they're finding endpoints for these characters. And I don't think they're going to kill a character like Allison. But I think the speech that you referenced that 5 has, what they call a superhero who doesn't listen, a villain, like, maybe Allison becomes a villain going forward.
A supervillain who likes to be alone. Or not work on a team, likes to work alone.
Who goes alone. But I thought that was great. I think 5 was dropping a lot of bombs in this episode.
Yeah, he was.
In a good way. So maybe that's where Allison is headed, a character that is becoming something different, which may be a villain.
Did you think it was fucked up how Allison was like, you're just old and tired? You know what I mean? Like, come on, like 5's more than that. You know what I mean?
Well, you can be old and tired and other stuff.
Yeah, you could be 3 things. You could be more than one thing. That's absolutely fine. What should we talk about 5 at all? There's not a ton that's going on with him emotionally in this episode, other than the stuff that we've referenced. But like I think I mentioned at the beginning, I was trying to frame up, but I don't know what happened specifically there. 5 is really trying to push everybody to come up with plans and do stuff, whether it's about what's going on in the Buffalo Room, Boom Boom in the Buffalo Room, or alternately over in the Kugelblitz. And again, I love that they were making moves. I love the plan. I loved how technical it was. It feels very Umbrella Academy for everybody to do that, but very
it felt
fun
so
to see
superhero.
Yeah.
And like having the Umbrellas and the Sparrows come together, everyone sort of busting balls a little bit, but also coming together to do it. And that was the most like big capital S superhero movie or TV show that we've seen on this show. I mean, it was awesome.
Ben just got a big bowl of cheese balls there and was ready to just, enjoy the back and forth family banter. It was fun to see everybody in the room, for sure.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Ben, very fun this episode. He's still being a total dick nonstop all the time, but the cheese balls thing is funny. Him railing on everybody was funny. Definitely very harsh on Viktor in that one scene in the bedroom where he was digging into him about like, oh, did you think people were chasing after you? Was that what you thought? Oh, I'm so sorry. But
on that, the tone on this show is so wild in these like super high stakes. And then every character is like, we got time to screw around a little bit though, right? Let's make some jokes. Like that is a strange and hard to execute tone. And I do think the show pulls it off.
Yeah. Do you think, so at the end of the episode, or actually like almost the end of the episode, Ben and Faye are sitting down and Faye's like, we're going to kill them. Let's kill them after this, right? And Ben's like, no, I'm not doing that. I got another thing going on with Hargreaves.
Right.
What's going on there? What is your theory at this point?
Well, that's Project Oblivion. So whatever Project Oblivion is, we have Pogo who set that up. It's something to do with going through the cabinet
and not ringing the bell. Don't ring the bell.
Don't ring the bell. Yeah, but it's interesting. Like the only sort of monster in there just has like a little knife on a chain. So it
doesn't seem little.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem. This team just put a series of exploding black holes into a box for at least a little bit of time until an ill-timed clank of a champagne flute. So I do think like what's the danger through this Hotel Oblivion? Because I do think that's what Hargreaves is working toward.
It definitely feels like two separate things going on at the same time. You've got the stuff with the Kugelblitz, you got the stuff with the Hotel Oblivion. They're not necessarily connecting yet, so we'll have to see how they connect. I also do want to give a shout out, though. I know we mentioned before, cutting from defeating the Kugelblitz, quote unquote, to the party scene where they're doing Another One Bites the Dust. And everybody's dancing. Very fun. But I also loved the move of immediately after that, cutting to the rooftop with Luther sitting there and everybody's partying, but the world has already basically been destroyed at this point.
Yeah.
They're like the only ones alive. It's a weird celebration, but also great use of the song and fun. I mean, they do music scenes in this show so well. Every time I start to hear a little bit of music, I get excited about what's to come, and they deliver. It was a lot of fun, shortly lived, but still a hilarious choice and kind of fun to see, Unfortunately, that's where Allison and Viktor, storm off into their own corners.
Well, I do want to throw out to you, Pete, as our resident rom-com expert, that's also the scene where Luther proposes to Sloane at the end of the world.
You want to talk about emotional scenes.
How'd you feel?
You talk about emotional scenes. Fun the way it starts. He's like busted. Oh, look who color-coded your travel guide, added some things that I know that you like. I mean, that was just beautiful. She flips to the ring. She loves his moon mission, has a moon rock saving for a special occasion, gets on his knee. I mean, that's checks all the boxes there. That's fantastic rom-com loving right there. I don't know what more you would want.
100%. And the fact that it occurred during their celebration scene means that it's going to work out just as well as their plans.
Great. Yeah.
With the Kugelblitz, right? Like they're because that's what watching the scene. I was like, this is awesome. I love both of those characters. I love how much she was in command of the Kugelblitz plan. I think they're a great match. I'm just worried the show doesn't let these characters be happy. And
well, also Lila kind of proposed. I mean, she was like, hey, I want you to be my family and let's make a family. You know what I mean?
Double wedding.
Big. Yeah.
That'd be
going to happen.
Especially if all the other characters keep getting blitzed.
Before we say Auf Wiedersehen to this podcast, though,
how does everybody know German?
Any other moments? Justin and I spent a semester there.
All right. The Klaus,
I went to that film festival.
Being murdered by cars over and over again and bouncing between cars was hysterical and so creative and fun and just catch the ball. And it's just like, oh my God, it's dark, but hilarious. I mean, this was a great Klaus episode. Yeah.
Agree. I like all the Klaus stuff. The Hargreaves mystery, I think, will continue to unfold. What do you guys think about the scene where Viktor goes to Ben's room and sees the drawings of Jennifer? And Jennifer was the mission that killed Ben in the main timeline, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So does that mean that Ben is either interested in the Umbrella Ben, or is he maybe feeling reflections of that? Was that
I think he probably
thing?
had something similar happen, just didn't die. So I think
almost died, so he kind of draws pictures of Jennifer.
Well, I think the indication there to me is that good Ben that everybody keeps talking about is still in there somewhere. He's just his life has pushed him wrong being with the Sparrow Academy. And I think we get indications of that this episode, and we've been getting indications of that all along, that he acts like a jerk to everybody all the time. But at the same time, he's always pulling back from the killing blow. You know, he's not the guy who's going to be like, let's get those Umbrella Academy. We're going to kill them. We're going to take them down. He keeps holding back. And I think that is his innate goodness that hasn't changed. It was just tweaked and ruined by the rest of his life with Hargreaves.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that theory. One other thing I want to talk about is Robo-Mom.
Yeah, Robo-Mom, sick gun closet. Goes with the flamethrower, and I mean, she's going to protect her god, her Kugelblitz. So that was horrible.
What did you think of her lines? Day of vengeance was in my heart. My year of vengeance hath come. Was her thing that she sang, and then when she gets wrecked by Five, she very scarily sings "Onward, Christian Soldiers." Is she just saying the Kugelblitz is far from over and is going to continue to wreak havoc?
I don't know what's going on with it. It seems like the way they've been playing out the storyline is like there's some sort of Cthulhu-style monsters that are hiding in the Kugelblitz, and she's going to welcome out these eldritch gods or something like that. But also she's dead now, I guess.
I don't know. I think
snapped
maybe
a robot's neck.
It doesn't work for robots.
It doesn't work.
Well, it's a fail-safe.
I tried to snap my laptop neck a lot, and it didn't do anything.
Well, I hope you broke your computer. You should be strong enough to at least snap it, too.
Whoa. I should be strong enough to snap my computer?
Well, you were like, nothing happened. I was like, you can't.
You've been doing Pete's system, right? 30 days to snap a laptop.
I'll tell you what, it's an expensive training. You're breaking laptops, iPads. You know when in karate where they break wooden blocks?
Yeah.
In Pete's training, we break iPads in half. It costs a couple grand a day.
Crazy system, Pete, but good for you.
It works.
He hates Apple. He used to work at the bar, the
fruit
Apple
stand. I used to work at the fruit stand, as they say. Yeah, I mean, as far as any other things, I don't know about the mom. I don't know if it's just like it fried her robot brain and she's just kind of now just crazy. But it's been tough to see her with the one eye and then, just so detached from reality, especially for Diego, which, Lila, sorry about your robot mom, was a funny opening line. I mean, that was just it's good stuff.
Do you think we're going to get the people who've been blitzed back? We lose Faye and presumably Christopher from the Sparrows. Stanley, obviously.
I mean, if they go for a happy ending, that'd be nice, but I don't know if it's in the cards, man.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe everybody dies. The end.
Could that's happen. True for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true of life. Before we wrap up here, why don't we talk about who got top marks in this episode? Justin, who got top marks?
I got to give it up for 5 in this episode. I thought this was a great 5 episode, continuing his uninterrupted stance as the person who seems to be paying attention the most. Mm-hmm. Some great observations. But 5 is also sort of the mascot for not giving a shit about the inner emotional lives of the people that you presume to care about, which is obviously the Umbrellas and potentially the Sparrows' great undoing. But still a great 5 episode, and shout out to the bass player in the band, Lila's band, who always gets to go off with the woman.
What about you, Pete? Who got top marks this episode?
Well, I wanted to say Klaus, but I want to take that away from you, so I'll go with Lila. She had a great app. It was nice to see her, all powered up at the end, helping and working with the family instead of against it this time around. It's a new Lila. It's exciting.
I'm going to go a little bit different this episode and go Klaus all day, Great Klaus episode. Whatever happens eventually with Reginald down the road, if he's betraying them, if he's working the angles or whatever. Love the sequence. So fun. Love the catch in the middle of the road. Klaus was hilarious. And just Robert Sheehan acting like a tiny little child, being like, yay, daddy's playing catch with me. Very fun.
The Obi-Wang, he calls him, just hysterical. I mean, he's just killing it.
If you'd like to support this podcast and other podcasts, we do patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Umbrella Academy. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Podcademy on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. ComicBookClubLive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, Auf Wiedersehen, you schnitzels.
So, Pete, I just snapped this iPhone in half, and that makes me strong?
Yeah, it'll improve your hand-eye coordination.
Do you call snapping apples Snapples?
Yeah, because when you crack them open, you look under the lid, and it's a fun fact.